On this episode of Left Off the Map, we're going to look at a vineyard that's very, very close to my heart. It's my local vineyard and my favourite vineyard probably in the whole entire world. It's called Ghost Rock. The owners and winemaker are Alicia and Justin. I've known Justin since I was a little kid. I played sport with him growing up and he was a good friend of mine when we went to school. So the vineyard is only probably 10 or 15 minutes from where I live on the northwest coast of Tasmania in a place called Northdown. I'm going to take along a guest with me. Her name is Curly Haslam Coates and she's a wine expert. So we're going to learn everything there is to know about growing good quality wine here in Tasmania. Before we get into that, I'm going to show you a great white wine recipe. I'm going to do a mustard, chicken and wine braise. It's really, really good for a colder night. It's really good comfort food. And the fantastic thing about it is it's a one pot wonder. So everything goes into the pot, you get all the flavors mixed together, then you pop it into the oven. So I'm just gonna set the oven first. And this is a good base recipe. You could add your favorite ingredients to this if you want to, and we'll talk about some of those ingredients as we go along. So 2 rashers of bacon. You can dice these or roughly chop them. I'm going to roughly chop them. So more like lardons or batons than dice. So they're batons, pop them in. I'm not putting any oil in there. I'm going to use the fat that we render out of a cold pan. So you see the pan's cold when the bacon's going in. That way, as the heat comes into the pan, it will render out some of that fat, and that fat is what we're going to use to cook in. So we've got bacon in there. Chicken Marylands are going to go in next. Skin side down. I want to get some good colour on the skin. So 2 chicken Marylands. This is probably enough for 4 people. If you're having lots of people over and you want to do a big braise, put 4 chicken Marylands in there. And the rest of our ingredients: thyme, whole seed mustard, cream, a little bit of water, wine, and you could replace that with stock, but you're not really going to need it. There's so much flavour in there, you're not really going to need that stock. Potatoes, and that's it. Everything sort of comes together. Get your seasoning right, make sure you're happy with all the flavours, and it goes into the oven until the chicken is falling off the bone. That's going to take about 45 minutes. Got some good colour on that chicken. I've turned them, so now we can move on to the next step. I've got some thyme, a good bunch of thyme, so I'm just going to roughly chop. Thyme, and chicken and mustard are an awesome combination. So a good amount of thyme in. And really, thyme is what makes this dish. Thyme in the oven and also thyme as in the herb. Mustard, whole seed mustard, whole grain mustard. Pop that in. Stir all that together. Now some wine to deglaze our pan. We're going to reduce that by about 1/4. So maybe 2 minutes of that wine bubbling away, doing its thing. And then a little bit of water, a little bit of cream. So we'll pop some water in now, our cream. And the water is basically there because it's going to reduce a little bit while it's in the oven. We don't want it to dry out too much. Chapped potatoes. Chop these in half. And then this would be one of those dishes also that would be even better the next day. So if you cook this ahead of time and let it sit in your fridge for a day, it would be even better. Stir all that. So that's what you've got. It's quite watery at this stage, which is good because we want that to reduce down in our oven. Pop it in. We don't need a lid on it because we actually want it to reduce down. So now we've got half an hour to 45 minutes, and then we're ready to take it back out. That chicken's been in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. I'm going to take it out and check it now. Because there's only 2 Marylands in there, it's probably going to cook a little bit faster than if we'd loaded a whole lot in. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Potatoes are cooked, you can tell. And you can see where the chicken's starting to come off the bone there. That's perfect. This is a really good sort of country style dish. Those potatoes are cooked perfectly. The tongs are sort of poking into them. They're nice and soft. And there's all our chicken and potatoes cooked. Just make sure I've reduced this sauce down to the consistency that I want. Oh, a little bit of salt on top of our chicken and potatoes. So it is that sort of finishing sauce consistency that you want to be able to pour over the top of this. And that is the money shot. All that sauce is where all the flavour of this dish is going to be. The potatoes are going to be cooked perfectly. The chicken's going to be cooked perfectly. And don't worry about overcooking. You can actually, the longer you leave it in, the better it's probably going to get. Because you've got a Maryland on the bone, it's not going to dry out. So you can cook that for another half an hour and the chicken would just fall apart even more. So you don't worry about overcooking it. If you're thinking, should I leave it in longer or take it out? Always err on the side of leaving it in a little bit longer. That is a fantastic country style dish made using white wine. So now we're going to head off. We'll learn a little bit more about winemaking here in Tasmania from Justin and Alicia and Curly Haslam Coates. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
You too. Popgun.
Hello, mate.
How are you?
You well?
Very well.
Welcome.
It's a good place for us to start.
Absolutely.
You picked a good one.
Back at the Rock.
How's it? You just got back from a bit of a holiday.
We have, mate. Yes, a little bit of a European getaway to celebrate the better half's significant milestone. I won't give ages away.
Very smart with all these cameras about, mate.
We're not allowed to do that these days, but being in the wine industry, it's important to go and say good day to the French and see what the world's best do.
So is there a bit of a break between when you sort of pick your last grape? Do you get a little bit of downtime?
We get a little window. We basically, we finish picking at the end of April, and May is generally a real winery-focused month to really consolidate the work of vintage. And then June, we just start to get into pruning. So there's perhaps the last 2 weeks of May and the first 2 weeks of June are a little window for us to have a rest. This is a fantastic time of year because the vine's bare. Leaves are off, fruit's off. The structure of the vine's been revealed. So it's a great time of year to actually go out and have a look. So we might head out and do that. Because if you want to stay here with Alicia, have a tasting and maybe pick a wine for tonight.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's go, Popgun.
Great.
How old are these?
So these vines they're nearly 15 years old, these vines. So some of the first planted on the estate. So about 30 odd hectares. This little half a hectare here is Sauv Blanc was one of the first to go in.
So people who are watching this and are thinking, right, if I'm going to go and buy a Tasmanian wine, which varietals are kind of the safe bets coming out of Tasmania for people who are drinking it in other parts of the country? What would you tell them to get?
Look, in terms of your white wines, Pinot Gris is a real crowd favourite. I can comfortably put a bottle of Pinot Gris on a dinner table, and regardless of who's at the table, their interest in wine, their level of understanding of wine, the food that's going on at the table, Pinot Gris can really hold up. You won't find too many people.
It's a catch-all.
Yep, it sure is.
Well, we'll head back up and see how the girls are getting along.
I'm sure they're having a good time.
Yeah. We're down here in the cold and they're up there doing a wine tasting.
They're the smart ones.
We're back.
Hello, ladies.
Did you have fun in the vines?
Learn a lot. Oh, wow.
Did.
I know.
Have you eaten it all?
Isn't that amazing?
I picked the wrong. You could have gone down there. So this is the marsupial that Tasmania is so well known for.
It is, yes.
How did it get its name?
So when people were first settling in Tasmania, at night, all they would hear is this ferocious growling and snarling that you heard just moments ago. So all they would hear is this ferocious growling. They'd go out at night, they might catch a little glimmer of teeth or a flash of their eyes as they're going back off into the bush.
Yep. And this is Curly, is your first time here at Wings?
First time, yes. Yeah. It is fantastic. And my little sneezy friend there. Hello.
So apart from the devils, what else were people going to see here at Wings?
So we have over 150 different species here at the Wildlife Park. So you can see a lot of our natives, so kangaroos, koala, emus, wombats, and obviously our Tasmanian devils, but we also have a few exotics as well, so meerkats, marmosets, and our monkeys.
All right, well that's probably enough for the devil, because I'm worried about putting my hands in there. Can we go see some... Ah!
You're all right. She's not going anywhere.
I literally thought I actually thought he got your finger then.
No, I've still got all my fingers. No need to stress.
Yeah. Can we go see a baby something?
We certainly can, yes.
All righty, let's go. After our encounter with Tassie Devils, Curly spotted some marmosets she just had to check out.
Welcome to our marmoset encounter. So we have two marmosets in this enclosure, a male and a female. We are currently in what we call breeding mode for these guys. So we are hoping to have a few babies. We have some babies next door, but just because they've still got young and they're still very small themselves, we'll do encounters with these guys today. The babies are only about a few weeks old. They're less than a month at the moment. So these guys aren't actually native to Tasmania. It's too cold for them here. They're from your more tropical region of Brazil, so down in South America. Okay. In the wild, these guys are looking for their bugs, their grubs, but these guys absolutely love mealworms. That's it, little man.
And Ghost Rock, as beautiful as that vineyard is, we talked a little bit about sparkling wine, and that's probably what it's best known for. It's sparkling wine and it's Pinot Noir. So I'm going to do a sparkling wine recipe. A dessert this time to go with the savoury dish that we did before. So I'm going to make a champagne sabayon. So sabayon is basically, it's a custard. I'm going to make a thin custard, so a ribbon custard. So you need the main things that you would have that would go in custard, so your eggs and your sugar. Instead of using cream, we're going to use sparkling wine. So we're going to make a sparkling wine sabayon. We've got 3 egg yolks. Pop them into a bowl. And this is your setting agent. And also the thing that's going to keep quite acidic wine or water mixed with our fat, the thing that will keep it together. So the emulsifier, the bonding agent that will keep it together, is the natural emulsifier that's in the egg yolk. Some sugar, about 1/4 cup of sugar. As soon as you put your sugar in, you want to mix. Otherwise, your sugar will cook the egg. Now, depending on how sweet you want your sabayon to be, you could add more sugar if you wanted to, remembering that the sparkling is sharp. It's quite tart, it's quite acidic. So I'm going to add a little bit of sparkling wine to that. Mix it together. Again, just like you would make a custard or a creme anglaise. And then we're going to heat this. So we want to heat it to between 70 and 80 degrees until it coats, what we say, until it coats the back of a wooden spoon. So to control that heating process, we're going to put it on a double boiler. So the steam coming up from the boiling water is going to be the transfer of heat, the steam to the bowl and then to the custard or the sabayon. Just want to keep mixing that until it starts to thicken. At this point, I just want to try it and make sure I've got enough sparkling wine in there. and enough sugar. I want mine to be quite acidic. It's going with fresh fruit, so it's a champagne sabayon with fresh fruit. Fresh fruit's going to be sweet enough, so I want to make my sabayon a little acidic, which is what it is. I could add the rest of that sugar, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to mix this. This can take anywhere from, depending on the amount that you're making, this will take anywhere from 3 minutes to 10 minutes. And with this small amount, we're looking at probably somewhere in the middle, probably about a 5-minute process. That is done, and that was probably about 5 minutes. Keep an eye on it though. There is a real possibility that even with the double boiler, if you let it sit in one spot, there's a real chance you'll split it. So you've got to keep moving it constantly. And you'll end up, you can see how that's thickened up. As that cools, it's going to thicken a little bit more. You can't really, you have to smell it to know that you cooked out all the egg. So I can smell now that all that egg's been cooked out. So we've got a nice uniform mixture of egg through there. Because we're not using cream, it's never going to be as thick as a creme anglaise. It's going to be a little bit more ribbony, a little bit more runny, and that the ribbon is what you're looking for. So when you're mixing it, you're actually after a ribbon texture or a ribbon feeling in the sabayon, and then you know you've got it. So that's done. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to let that cool a little bit. While I let it cool, I'm just going to chop up some strawberries. The other fruits, you can if you want to. You can break them or tear them or do whatever you want. Because they're so good at the moment, I'm just going to leave them as they are. So I'll just chop these strawberries and then we're ready to plate up. So most of the fruits here are the fruits that you're going to get around sort of Christmas, summertime. Blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. And then I've got grapes. Grapes aren't something that you probably normally think of as a fruit that would go with a custard. But I like the connection between sparkling wine, so something that's been made from a grape, and then using a grape to go with it. And these are, I mean, don't get the sort of the green table grapes. Try and get these crimson ones. If you can get sapphire grapes go really well. And make sure they're really firm. So you want that texture. Because with all this fruit, it's fairly similar in texture. If you can get hold of the really firm, and most of them now are sort of super firm, get those firm grapes, you'll get a nice pop and it's going to give you a completely different texture to all the other fruit that you're putting in. Okay, so mix all this together. And then I'm going to spoon the mixture. I'm going to put one small layer in. Then I'm going to spoon some of this sabayon over the top. Then I'll put another layer of fruit, some more sabayon, another layer of fruit. It's almost like we've got a trifle of our champagne, or I shouldn't say champagne, every Tasmanian winemaker will kill me. Our sparkling wine or method Tasmanois, something that we're referring to down here in Tasmania, method Tasmanois. Sabayon, and then another layer, and then another layer of the sabayon. Now this is still a little warm. You can see a little bit of steam coming off there. So you can see how thick that's got. And as it cools, it'll get even thicker. So you can pop it in the fridge if you wanted to. And cool it down even more. It's even still got some bubbles in it. Another layer of the fruit. Layer of sabayon. I don't think I'm going to put another layer of fruit on there. I think it looks quite nice. That sort of everything being sort of covered in that sparkling custard. Here we go. A mixture of two absolutely fantastic products during summer. All the berries that you're going to get this time of year and a nice glass of sparkling wine turned into sabayon. Now, if you want to get hold of good Tasmanian sparkling, probably the best way to do it, if you can't go to your local bottle shop and they've got good quality Tasmanian sparkling, most vineyards here in Tasmania will have a mailing list or a cellar door or some sort of club, wine club you can be part of, where they'll send really good quality sparkling wine out to you. You only need a small amount to make this dessert, and then you've actually got a glass of sparkling that you can serve with that dessert as well.